Hi, this is Dr. Mary Bellon, welcoming you to Sacred Dreaming. Today we're going to talk a little bit about manifesting dreams, which is making a representation of something in the dream, something that symbolizes the dream in the outer world. How I got involved in dream work was through a dream, and this dream was of a sacred pipe community practicing a prayer ceremony in the woods. By following that dream, I actually found a community in Maine that was practicing prayer ceremonies with the sacred pipe. And I worked with them for a couple of years. I studied the sacred pipe ceremony for a couple of years. And about the end of that time, one of the men in the community had a dream for me, and he dreamed that my dream totem was a falcon, and he carved me a pipe. And so here is the bowl of the pipe, which is the falcon that he carved. And then, of course, it attaches to the pipe stem, making a complete pipe. This pipe was gifted to me by this man, which is the way in the sacred pipe community that one receives a pipe through a gift and a vision. And so we can say that this falcon is a representation of this man's dream. But in a wider sense, I think it's a manifestation of my original dream, which took me to this community. Sometimes when we have a dream, we might just simply write something. So as a person who writes poetry, I had a dream once and I wrote a poem about it. And I'm going to share that with you as an example. So the poem is called The Apparition. I am moved by the elegance, a quiet step, waking my dream, a greeting in spectral form, standing before my disbelief, undisturbed by my fear, moving toward me on ribbons of silence, drawing my eye to incredible gaze. I recognize thou. Urgent stillness. I watch silky arms, soft hands slowly lift as grace descends. My heart clasps its own beating, as if now I could die, that I might die in the presence of this thou, clear, unprofaned beauty. Thou-ness quiets all the rooms I have entered, leans beside me, exchanging breath for breath, peace for peace, beckoning finally that I might live differently. And then thou is gone, absorbed by the late afternoon sun, dimming the room, slipping as it always does through the window. But I have been visited, left open, and rising look again to where thou appeared, and bow, made different, loved. So you might notice that in that manifestation of the dream actually was an afternoon nap that I had when the dream came to me, and I rose and wrote that poem. I have a friend who inscribes rocks with words. You can buy these in different stores, not hers per se, but you can buy rocks with words. But she makes them, and she got into the habit of making some of these rocks with words on them to represent dreams. And so she gave me a bag of these rocks, and on one of them, for instance, it says, imagine. So that's another thing. If you like to paint rocks, you could paint rocks depicting a word or an image or a color that represents your dream. Another friend of mine works in stained glass, and she did a stained glass piece here. I hang this in my window to represent a dream that she had, that she worked on with me. And finally, I have a friend who casts pots and does pottery, and he is also a minister, and he made a chalice to represent a dream that he had. You might notice that behind me are paintings that another friend of mine made, and one is of a pitcher and one is of a bowl with a towel. These are religious images that she made that also can represent a way of manifesting images, not just of the religious or spiritual life, but of the dream life too, if you happen to have a dream that holds such images in them. So manifesting makes the dream take a concrete shape. It involves the senses, the sight, the smell, the kinetic, the texture that we feel with our hands. It involves us in a very active, awake, lived way with the dream world. And I recommend, if you have a specific dream that stands out to you, or perhaps it's a repetitive dream, to practice manifesting the dream in some way that speaks to you. It doesn't have to be that you have to go and learn a whole new activity like stained glass or pottery, but something that you do that represents the dream. You could make a vase full of flowers, for instance, or draw a picture, or write in your journal. But in some way, the artistic elements of manifesting the dream lend to the dream and to your work with the dream even more dimensions to explore and to experience. So I hope that you have good dreams tonight, and I hope that you'll practice manifesting your dreams. Thanks for being with me today.